One of the most interesting questions I'm often asked by folks who are waking up is, where do you get your news? Before 2020, like most Americans, I got my news from broadcast radio, broadcast television, online newspapers, and the 24-hour cable news stations. I was one of those people who believed you had to watch everything in order to be informed. You had to look at both the left and right-leaning media to find the truth somewhere in the middle. I would consult Fox, CNN, MSNBC, ABC, NBC, the Wall Street Journal, the New York Times, the New York Post, Newsmax, the Huffington Post, the Washington Post, OAN, and anything I could get my hands on. Again, I was absorbing all of this information thinking that the truth was somewhere in the middle. However, it became evident to me in 2020 that all of the legacy and mainstream media were lying with impunity. But that's the brilliance of the misinformation. It's riddled with half-truths. So you get enough truth in a story that you believe the whole thing. Now, of course, I'm not suggesting they were lying about every single broadcast and every single news event. But I submit to you that a half-truth isn't the truth at all. Some news outlets were lying for political and ideological reasons. Some news sources may not have been lying, but they were clearly misinformed and they were misinforming the public. And some news sources may have just been manipulated by sponsors and special interests. Yeah, I'm thinking there was probably a lot of that. Actually, it was probably mostly that. And then there was silence on issues. Omissions, which in and of itself can be an effective form of propaganda or lying. The whole silence on topics is crazy. They just figured if they don't talk about something, it would disappear from our consciousness. Instead of reporting the news, all the news, there are entire topics that go without being covered, while other subjects, which might be true or partially true, get full and total coverage. It's almost like big tech, the government, the media, and the sponsors all want to manipulate what you see and hear so they can control a narrative. No, they wouldn't do that. They care about us. Really? And then there was the gaslighting. So much gaslighting, which meant I was getting mostly propaganda, not news. I began scrambling to find alternative sources. As a side note, be very leery of any information that's sponsored. It doesn't mean that all sponsored content is misleading or false, but it should be your first clue that the information you're getting may be slanted or biased in some way. Today, the vast majority of the news that's out there brought to you by the legacy or mainstream media is brought to you by special interest groups like Big Pharma. And that's why it can't be trusted. If I'm successful with this podcast, which is still a big if, and I take on any sponsors, I promise you, A, I will never allow a sponsor to edit, dictate, or affect my content. My channel will go dark before I allow that to happen. And B, I will never promote or endorse a product that I cannot personally vouch for myself or that myself or my family don't use. What you will get here is 100% honesty and integrity. So where do you get accurate news again? Can you get back to that? Hey, stop nagging me, Video Conscience. Okay, so I shifted to predominantly getting my news on Telegram and X. So what you want to do is find podcasters and real journalists that you trust. Real journalism isn't going to be conservative, liberal, or progressive. Real journalists are seeking the truth.
We acknowledge there are many different truths. There are many different truths. Many different truths.
No, despite what that crazy ham sandwich was saying, there are not many truths. There is only one. And real journalists are always seeking to uncover and get you that truth. Also, I've primarily shifted to using Rumble, so while you can still get some news on Facebook and YouTube, I typically avoid these sites because what you'll find far too often these days is that people trying to tell you the truth are continually getting censored and banned. What should otherwise be open forums and public squares have devolved into an Orwellian censorship nightmare. Now that may change, but as of right now, any podcast or a journalist that is exclusively on YouTube and Facebook should be suspect. Heck, I just started and I'm expecting to be banned from YouTube and Facebook. I would strongly advise that you familiarize yourself with the Rumble app because at the moment, it seems to be the best free speech video platform. Download the Rumble app and make that switch today. So how are you going to access accurate news? You're going to unplug from the mainstream legacy media, you're going to get on Telegram and X, and you're going to start to collect podcasters and journalists who you can trust and verify. I can start you out with a few suggestions below. I think all we the people care about is that our news is current, verifiable, and accurate. What's going on right now with big tech and the mainstream media is William Randolph Hearst's yellow journalism on steroids. You furnish the pictures and I'll furnish the war. Remember the Maine! If you know, you know. It got so bad for me in 2020 that if the mainstream media told me that it was raining outside, I had to physically get up and look out the window to verify it myself. The moment I unplugged from the mainstream or legacy media, the healthier I became. As I continue to publish these podcasts, my goal is not to reinvent the wheel. I'm not a journalist. I'm just another voice, a soldier in the digital revolution, trying to push out accurate information from other people's content, while sometimes providing minimal interpretation, opinion, and insight. So that's how we do it. We all just need to unplug. And of course, we're not unplugging from the technology, but we need to unplug from the mainstream or legacy media. If you haven't already done so, exclusively move to online content that you can trust. And the other aspect of this is to help educate our friends, family, and neighbors. So when you find podcasters and journalists that you trust, push that information out there. Yes, it means you have to do a lot more work. Yes, and it's more work than you've ever had to do in your lifetime to get accurate news and information. But it's worth it because you'll be getting the truth. Big tech, the special interest groups, the mainstream media, the deep state, and the globalists are all counting on you being lazy. Don't be lazy. So that's basically it. Until next time, like, comment, join, and share, share, share. And remember, everyone wakes up at their own pace, and you are not alone. It's our job to help and educate as many people as possible. God bless America, God bless this podcast, and God bless you. Stay frosty, my friends.